Hey guys, so if you're anything like me, you've definitely noticed the inflation that is happening across the board. And so today I'm actually going to be talking about how we have adjusted our spending habits in order to kind of counteract the inflation so that it doesn't hit us quite as hard. And these are all going to be very attainable tips. I'm not going to tell you to go out and get a second job or sell your car or, your left kidney or anything like that. They're not going to be crazy. So let's just get into the tips. So the very first thing is that I just really want you to keep a really close eye on your finances. I want you to know how much money you have, where your money is going, when money is coming in, what days bills are coming out, all of that stuff. I know within $10 how much money is in my account pretty much at all times, because I track it multiple times a day. I'm on there looking at it. No, it hasn't changed since I checked it at noon, but it's just the way I am. And so I just really want you to keep a really close eye. We don't keep a super strict budget. We do have a budget. It is just not like a $0 budget where everything is budgeted down to a T. I actually have a video talking about how I do our monthly budget. I will have it linked down below if you want to go check that out. But I just really want you to keep a close eye on your finances so that you know how much money you actually have at all times, because the worst thing is thinking that you have money and then going in there and realizing that you've actually spent a lot more than you originally planned, or a lot more money than you actually had to spend. So that is my first tip. Just always know what you have and where you're at. The second thing is I know that this is probably something that you hear all the time. Holy cow, the wind just picked up. It was not like this 5 minutes ago. I know this is something that you've probably heard multiple times, but cut your subscriptions. I know that it's something that seems so simple, but when we sit down and do our monthly budget, there was a time when all of my monthly subscriptions were like $150, and it was stuff that I didn't even know. It wasn't that I didn't know that I was paying for it. Some of them, are a little sneaky, but then some of them are just things that I didn't use enough for it to be worth that much money. So some things that we have cut recently is I used to do like Just Fab, and I have cut that. We cut Disney Plus, we cut Hulu, I cut Spotify, and like I know that these are all going to be different. Like you could potentially use Disney Plus every single day, or you would die if you didn't have your Spotify playlist. Like I understand all of that's going to be different for every single person, but those are just things that we were not using, and I was paying for them every month anyway. And so we have actually cut our subscriptions down significantly. It's about $40 a month now for everything that we pay for. And a lot of times what I will do is, like, right now we're watching a whole bunch of Netflix shows. So like once, a season of something comes out like on Hulu that I want to watch, we'll cancel Netflix and then we'll resubscribe to Hulu so that it's around the same amount of money. So we just kind of cut our subscriptions and then we can juggle them if there comes a time when we want that. So that is just another thing that we do. It was something really easy. It was not painful at all because, like I said, we cut the subscriptions of the things that we weren't really using, and it's saving us about $110 a month right now. So the third thing is something that it is so important to me. It's just the way I am, but meal planning saves us so much money, and that is for multiple reasons. The first reason is if I don't meal plan, by the time dinner rolls around, if I've forgotten to pull something out or I don't know exactly what I'm going to make, we will automatically go out to eat. I meal planned all week last week, and typically we go out to eat on every Friday. It's just what we've done for years and years and years. And it got to Friday and I was like, oh, like I haven't even thought about eating out once this week. Well, I did not meal plan and we went out to dinner Monday night. So saves us a ton of money when we actually eat at home, and meal planning is a huge part of that. The second reason that I think meal planning is super important is because you're less likely to overspend at the grocery store and to stay on budget. And I know that if I'm not meal planning, I will just go grab a whole bunch of random things at the grocery stores, a lot of quick things, a lot of snacks, and we go over budget every single time. Another thing with meal planning that I think is really important is to not forget about lunch. A lot of times I will only meal plan for dinner, And then, like, if it's a day that I'm going into the office, I will go out for lunch because I didn't plan on what I was going to be taking. So don't forget about lunch when you're meal planning, but those are the reasons. I just think meal planning is super important to making sure that you stay on budget. The next thing that we have adjusted is just some of our grocery store habits. Now, I know personally our grocery budget every month has went up about 28% over the last 4 months, and we are buying the same exact food. So that is just, in our area, that is how prices have increased on things. And so with that in mind, I have made some adjustments to what we do. So the first thing is I pretty much exclusively do grocery pickup. I absolutely hate grocery shopping in the actual store. And one, I think it saves me time, because if I'm writing out a grocery list, it is the same exact amount of time for me to go through and just add that to cart on a grocery pickup as it is to write it down on a grocery list. And two, you see how much you're spending, like, right at the bottom before you even check out. So if you're over budget, you can go back through and adjust and things like that. I also will shop sales and digital coupons. And these are things that I never really took the time to do before. It does take a little bit of extra time, but you can actually get some pretty good savings, especially if you can do like a double coupon on a certain item. And so that has really been working for us. The next adjustment that we've made to grocery shopping is I'm a little bit more conscious about whether I'm buying like off-brand or name brand of things. Now, there are some things where I will not buy it if the only option is off-brand. Like we can only do Kraft mac and cheese. Like, I'm sorry, but the other ones just don't cut it. I know mac and cheese isn't that good for you, but we can only do Kraft mac and cheese. We only do Hidden Valley Ranch. Like, there's some things where, like, you need the name brand. And so when it's reasonable, buy the cheaper, like, Kroger, Walmart brand. Like, it's the same thing. You're just paying more money for a name on a box that you're going to put in the trash or the recycling bin anyway. So the next adjustment that we've made to our grocery spending is to not buy stuff that is already prepped. And this is one that actually really adjusted our spending a lot, because I am always looking for a shortcut. So I love the already cut up fruits, the already cut up vegetables, the already washed, cooked, whatever, all of that stuff. I love it. I get it a lot because I hate taking the time to clean, cut, and put stuff in storage containers. I know that that's sad, but it's true. And if you just quit doing that and actually take the time to prep your own stuff, you can actually save quite a bit of money. It's really not that much extra time, and it's just an adjustment we've made, and it's actually made a big impact. And the last thing is we don't go to the grocery store until we actually need to go to the grocery store. I have a really bad habit of, if I run out of like one thing, I'm like, oh, I may as well just, restock on a lot of stuff. And then what usually happens is we will eat the newer stuff and the older stuff goes bad. So we have not been going grocery shopping until like we have nothing to make meals with. And when I tell you that that actually takes a while, because like I said, I have a really bad habit of just like throwing things in the cart or going more often than we need to. And so I no longer go every single week. That is something that is an adjustment for us. And like I mean, you could still go every single week, just buy less at every trip. I have found that buying more and then not going every week is what works best for us right now in our busy schedule. And so that is just something that if you're out of an item, you may just have to go without it until you go back to the grocery store. Or if you have more self-control than me, you just like run into the store and grab that one thing. But I just don't have that self-control most of the time. So, but also if you are looking for some grocery shopping tips or meal planning tips, I also have a video below that I will have linked. You can check that out after this one. The next thing kind of goes along with food, and that is we have tried to reduce our food waste. And this does go along with the grocery shopping less often tip, because like I said, we would buy the new food and then the old food would go bad. And so that has been something that has reduced our waste, is we just make sure that we use what is in the fridge. And I keep a closer eye on our fresh produce and our meats and such, just to make sure that we use it before it goes bad. Another way that we have reduced this is to freeze things before they go bad. So just this morning we had 2 bananas that were looking really brown. They were too brown to eat, and so I just peeled them, I put them in a Ziploc bag, and I popped them in the freezer. So I make a banana ice cream for me and my daughter every once in a while, and then I use them for smoothies sometimes. So they will get used, whereas if we would have left them on the counter and they would have gotten too much more brown, we would have had to throw them away or thrown them out to the chickens or something. And that takes me to my next tip, and this is a more like niched, something that is specific to us, but we do have chickens and outdoor animals, and so we have been taking our scraps to the chickens. They absolutely love it. And so like I said, that's a very niched thing that is specifically if you have chickens or animals or anything that will eat people food like that. And so yes, we're still personally not eating it, but the chickens eat the scraps and then they eat less chicken feed, and that in turn saves us money on chicken feed. So it's like this whole circle. The other thing that is kind of specific to like me personally is I have a garden, and so we grew the things that I typically buy the most at the grocery store, and so we haven't been having to buy those. And also I have a lot of friends that have gardens, and so I've been like, hey, I have too many cucumbers, can I trade you cucumbers for zucchini? Or I will trade eggs for different produces. So like I said, that's another really niche thing, but it's just something that we've been doing. The last thing that when it comes to reducing food waste is to repurpose your leftovers. If you've made something and you have a lot of leftovers and you ate it the next day and now you're like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of sick of it, is there some other way that you can use it? Like, can you take those vegetables and like throw them in a casserole? Or use that chicken and put it on top of a salad, stuff like that. And that has really helped us reduce our food waste as well. The next thing that has honestly been night and day when it comes to our spending is I quit buying things on Amazon the minute that I think that I need them on Amazon. I am one of those people that like the Amazon driver is at my house basically every single day. They all know where I live. Like, I'm surprised they haven't checked on me to make sure I'm not dead yet, because I've started doing this. But I do like an Amazon bulk buy, like at the end of the week, the beginning of the week, whenever it works out. So if there's something that I want on Amazon, 9 times out of 10 when I order things on Amazon, I don't actually need it in 2 days. I don't need it right now. I don't need it immediately. It's just something that I like, that I think is cool. So I will add it to my cart. Well, I am a very bad impulse purchaser. So I'll see something on TikTok, I'll see something that an influencer likes, I'll instantly go buy it. I'll never use it. It'll sit in a cabinet for the rest of eternity, or I'll get it and it'll stay in the box for 2 weeks because quite frankly I forgot that I ordered it. That's terrible. It's ridiculous. There's no reason it needs to be like that. So what I started doing is I add everything to my shopping cart, and then at the end of the week, I will reevaluate my shopping cart. I will cut out the things that I either forgot were in there in the first place or that I just really don't need. Because another thing is, I'll spend $10 on Amazon today, $20 tomorrow, and like at the time I'm like, okay, well, it's only $10. But when you see it in your cart at the end of the week and you have 150 some dollars of things in your Amazon cart, it's like, oh, now I see where my money is going. Like, that's ridiculous. And so you just get rid of it, only purchase the things that you still want at the end of the week. And that has been a crazy shift. And I honestly haven't really been buying that many things on Amazon because of that. It is kind of training my brain, like, you have everything that you need. Like, you don't need to buy this excess of stuff, especially right now when you're trying to save money, and it's just made a huge difference. The next thing is something that is not something that I do a lot. It's just something that I do notice whenever I do it, and that is to pay with cash. And I think it is super annoying to always go to the bank to get cash. Like, that's why I don't do it as often as I probably should. I also do a lot of online purchasing, so this tip doesn't always make sense. But if there are things that you're buying in person or you shop in person a lot, pay with cash, because I tell you what, it hurts a lot more to hand over that cash than it does to swipe your debit card and it's just something that I've noticed and that I need to get better at, because when I have cash, I'm always like, I like having cash, so I'm just gonna not buy that, or I'm gonna save it. Whereas with my debit card, I'm like, meh, whatever. It's $5, it's $10, whatever. So cash just, it works. Don't know why, it just works. The next thing is to find free activities to do instead of going out and always feeling like you have to go pay to do something. I have a whole list of like fun free things that are like fun for us and fun for a toddler as well. If you want me to make a video about that, leave a comment below and I can do that. But just doing things that are free, like I know a couple weeks ago one of my friends came over, we were going to meet at a coffee shop, and then I was like, you know what, just come to my house, like I make really good coffee. And so we hung out at my house. We hung out longer because we weren't taking up a table at a coffee shop or having all this craziness around us. We were just chilling at my house, and it was fun. It was great to catch up with her. I hadn't seen her in a while, and it was good. Saved money and spent extra time with my friend. So it's just something that you don't always have to be going out and spending money. I know that it's like there's that joke that every time you leave the house you spend money. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be like that. So just another thing is to, like I said, just do free activities instead of activities you have to pay for. The next one is just be smart with big purchases. You know, right now, like, cars are crazy priced, used cars are crazy priced, and I know, like me personally, I had an accident, they totaled my car, and I really wanted to go out and buy, like, in my head before my car was wrecked, my next car was going to be like the car that I want, like the big family SUV. Well, to buy that big family SUV was going to be a crazy higher priced vehicle than what it was going to be when I looked at them a couple years ago and had kind of started planning for this newer vehicle. And I personally think that at some point in time, cars will go back down a little bit. They will probably never be what they were before, but they will go back down. So I didn't go out and buy the big fancy SUV. I bought a used car that I could pay cash for, and it's getting me from point A to point B just fine. And, you know, that can be said for like the new TV. Maybe you don't get the newest and greatest TV or the newest and greatest phone or just things like that. Like, be smart with your big purchases. If you don't have the money to pay for them with cash, think about whether or not you actually really need them, really even want them, if you're still going to think it's cool after you've had it for a month and the newness wears off. If the answer is no, you probably don't need the greatest and the latest thing. Just saying. So like I said, especially when you're trying to save money, maybe you don't go out and buy that perfect thing that you absolutely want. Maybe you take a step back and you wait a little bit longer. And the very last thing is just something that I know has been talked about a lot, and that is to work on your debt. I just think about all the time how much more money we would actually have to spend on things that we want if we didn't have debt. And so we're just working really hard to pay off that debt. So just be smart with your money. If you don't have the money to pay for it, maybe you don't get it. Don't keep going into debt if you're trying to pay off your debt. Quit using the credit cards, quit taking out loans, all the things. So I know that this list was very long. Some of the things are super easy things. Some of them are a little more niche to my family personally, but I really hope that you took something away from this video. And, you know, inflation is affecting most people, I think, if not everybody. And, you know, it's not going to go away. So we need to adjust. We need to prepare. We need to take care of the things we need to take care of. So I hope that you got something out of this video, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.